All right, so we're still dividing fractions and whole numbers today. We're going to start with 1/3 divided by 4. First thing we need is we need two fractions, so we need to turn this whole number into a fraction, which means we just put it over 1, because 4 divided by 1 is 4, and that fraction bar means divide. So now we just go, the first fraction we keep the same, so we're just going to write down 1/3. The division sign we change to multiplication. And then the second fraction, we actually flip it. We use the reciprocal. So instead of 4 over 1, it is now 1 over 4. And then we just multiply it, top times the top, bottom times the bottom. 1 times 1, 3 times 4 is 12. And so our answer is 1/12. For number 17, we have 1/4 divided by 5. Again, we need two fractions. This isn't a fraction, it's a whole number. So we need to put it over 1. And then we just roll through it. First fraction we keep the same, so it's just 1/4. Division sign we change to multiplication. Second number, or second fraction, we flip it. We use the reciprocal. So instead of 5 over 1, it is now 1 over 5. Top times the top, bottom times the bottom, 4 times 5. That is our answer. On Saturday, Amir ran 1 3/4 miles and Janie ran 2 1/2 miles. Who ran farther and how much farther? Well, Janie ran 2 1/2 and Amir ran 1 3/4. Well, who ran farther? Janie ran farther. And if you want to write 2 1/2 and then 1 3/4, you can say that 2 1/2 is greater than 1 3/4. Second, how much farther? Well, that is, we have to find which one's bigger. How do we do that? Sounds like subtraction for me. So I'm going to do my 2 1/2, and I'm going to subtract my 1 3/4. 2 needs to become a 4 because we have a 2 and a 4. They got to be the same. The LCM, 2, 4, 6, 8. 4, 8, 12. 4 is the LCM. How did I get from 2 to 4? Times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. What's 2/4 minus 3/4? I can't do it. So I have to come over here and regroup. I had 2 pieces. How many more am I getting? I'm getting 4 more pieces. So now I actually have 6 pieces. What's 6/4 minus 3/4? It's 3/4. 1 minus 1 is 0. I don't need to write that down. And it's 3/4 of a mile farther. Yeah, I know. Wasn't division. 5 friends equally shared 1/2 of one large pizza and 1/4 of another large pizza. What fraction of each pizza did each friend get? All right, now this one's tricky. I have the word of in here, but I'm really trying to trick you on this one because this is not a multiplication problem. First thing we have to do is figure out how much pizza did they have. They had a 1/2 and a 1/4. We got to put those together so we know how much pizza they had. How do we put things together? We add. And so we need to take 1/2 plus 1/4. And then we have a 2 and a 4. They're not the same. The least common multiple is 4. How did we get from 2 to 4? Times 2. So really we have 2/4 plus a 4. So the 5 friends ate 3/4 of a pizza total. Now the question is, what fraction did they get? So what they did is they split this pizza equally amongst 5 people. Well, when we split something, that is dividing. And so we have to take our 3/4 of a pizza and we need to divide it by the 5 friends. All right, so how do we divide this? First thing we need is 2 fractions. So the 5 needs to be 5 over 1. That's how you turn a whole number into a fraction. 5 divided by 1 is 5. So now we keep the first fraction the same, change the division to multiplication, and flip the second one. So it becomes 1 over 5. This one, there's nothing to simplify. So we do the top times the top, bottom times the bottom. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 times 4 is 20. So they each got 3/20 of the pizza. Number 20. Jamie cut a rope into thirds. He used 2 of the pieces to make a swing. Okay. He used equal lengths of the leftover rope on 4 picture frames. What fraction of the original rope did he use for each picture frame? All right, so this one's a little different. First thing is he had a piece of rope, right? And he cut it into thirds, so he really had 1, 2, 3 pieces of rope. He said he used 2 of them to make a swing. All right, so 2 of them are gone. So he's only left with 1 piece. 1 piece. 1 piece out of what? Out of 3. So he has 1 piece out of 3 left. And then what is he doing? He used this piece to make 4 picture frames. So this he cut into 4 pieces. What does cut mean? Divide. He divided it by 4 for the 4 pieces. All right, so how do we do this? It's a whole number. We got to put it over 1 to make it a fraction. We keep the first fraction the same. We change the division to multiplication. We flip-flop the second number. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 3 is 12. So each picture frame is 1/12 of the rope. And looky there, that is actually one of our answers there. So B is the answer. Last one today. 1/2 of an apple is left for 5 family members to share equally. What fraction of the original pie will each member get? Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't apple, it was apple pie. I can't read this morning. So we have half an apple pie. All right, that's what we have. We have half of a pie. What are we doing it? It says we're sharing it equally. That means we're cutting it equally, which means we are dividing it equally into how many pieces? 5 family members. So we're dividing it by 5. Then we have to put it over 1 because we need 2 fractions. Keep the first one the same. Change that to multiplication. Flip-flop it. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 2 is 10. So each family member gets 1/10 of the apple